All right, how many of you remember your first job? Awesome. All right, so let me tell you about mine. I was 15 years old and I joined the Hickam Air Force Base. I'm raised in Hawaii. And I was so excited about that. I went into a sheet metal shop, Hickam Air Force Base, and they create sheet metal and they do things, bunch of sheet metal around here. And so one of the things, about 3 days into it, they said, Al, I'd like you to cut this sheet metal. And so they gave me this piece, probably about 6 inches long, and they said, cut it here. And so I went up to a machine and I put the sheet metal in. It has a foot feed. I hit the foot feed, and then it came down on my finger. Because before the chopper, there's a compress that stops the metal from moving. And so I picked it up and I stood there, blood all over the place, and I said, I think I've had an accident. And off I went, and for this little thing here, this little finger here, I spent 7 days at Tripler Army Hospital. 7 days. They were scared of infection and things like that. Now, what made it worse in my family was a year before, my dad bought a lawnmower. And he was sitting, if you can imagine, squatting all the way down to the ground, and he fell off balance, and he started going backwards, and he reached under, and he grabbed it, and it cut the 2 fingers off the top right here. Now, great tool, sheet metal cutter, great tool. Lawnmower, great tool. AI, great tool. But without proper education, training, coaching, mentoring, guardrails, they can cause destruction. So I want to talk about that. 2 weeks ago, I was working with the Navy. They use Gemini, and the concept was AI leadership, which I'm talking about right here. For 6 hours, there's a 12-hour workshop. For 6 hours, I talked about leadership. If you put AI onto something and it's not good, you get worse results. Foundational concepts is critically important. If you're not a good communicator and you're going to throw AI in there, it's going to exacerbate your results. It's going to accelerate those poor results. Foundationally, for a company, which I do consulting, I do business, education, training, and coaching. And when I go into a company, you see all the flaws. You're going to meet Andrew here. We're working with a company up north that has tripled. I've coached their executive team. We asked 3 times for a NDA, non-disclosure form, and nothing over 3 days. Foundation. And guess what they want to do? They want to use AI to weaponize their company. That's the exact words of the CEO. Well, you can't even get an email out, and you want to use AI for this project over here? So my point really is, foundationally, we got to be strong. We got to be good on emotional intelligence. AI can't do that. Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management, AI can't do that. That's you. That's me. We have to be foundationally strong in that. Critical thinking. You and I have to be great critical thinkings. AI is going to go on top of us, not replace us, if we have those skills. Communication. You got to communicate, verbal, vocal, visual, written. You got to be a high-level communicator. Learning, unlearning, relearning. Those skills have to go up. Otherwise, AI exacerbates those holes in concepts. Anyways, I want to make it, Andrew mentioned the concept of conversational. Jump right in. I'm going to talk about wisdom, discernment, stewardship. Feel free. So I work in this space. I'm working with advertising agencies, training hundreds of their people. I work with the Navy. They use Gemini, as I think I mentioned, Department of War. And my focus on them, I spent 6 hours on leadership, and then I went to AI. The last 6 hours was on AI, but I wouldn't go there until we talked about leadership, foundational leadership. When I talk to companies about things, I want you to understand AI is a great tool, not a replacement, right? That question came up. But it's an adjunct. It's not a replacement if we do this right. So we're going to talk about it. Jump right in if you want to. So you and I, so one of the foundations for me when I teach AI and when I teach people to utilize it, don't ask AI to do anything you cannot do. Foundationally, I want you to think, by the way, you can argue with me, but I want you to consider that. So when somebody says to me, Al, I'd like you to do a leadership class. All right, so give me the parameters. Pre-AI, it would take me 3 days to get it done from start to finish. At the end of the 3 days, I'd say, okay, here's the outline, here's the curriculum, here's the learning objectives, here's the exercises, here's PowerPoint, here's the handout, here's my side of the handout. We're ready to go. With AI, I can do it in half a day from start to finish. And on topics I really know, I can do it in 2 hours. Now that's the perfect use of it. I can do every single part of developing a course. I can do all the parts of education, which is knowledge, training, which is skill, coaching, which is implementation, orientation, internalization. I can do all of that. AI is a great tool for me. But if you have somebody, students, who are having AI write your papers, and it's a 10-page paper, a 100-page paper, but you couldn't do it, that's when the flaw comes up. So my son is at Cornell. He's a working lawyer. He's going through his PhD. So he calls me one day and he says, Dad, they're asking me to teach undergrads, and I'm doing that. I'm having a fun time with it. And he said, this AI thing, half of our campus wants AI, engineering departments. They want us to use it in all ways, shape, or form. Good. The other half doesn't want us to use it. What do you think? And we had a good conversation. And I said, okay, Jake, here's what I want you to do. You meet with them 3 times a week. One day, I want you to tell them, put their phones underneath their desk, take everything off their desk, hand them a paper, and then they're gonna, for the next 45 minutes, write about the topic. No AI help, no conversations, nothing. Can you do it? So I challenge everybody here. Can you write if AI electricity went down and for the next week you didn't have access, can you do it? Or is it now a crutch? So you want it to be support, not a crutch. And so for many people I'm working around, it's a crutch. Can you create a spreadsheet? Can you create a business plan? Can you create logical decisions without AI? And if you're starting to get there, and by the way, studies are already showing up that people parts of their brain are deteriorating because they're allowing AI to do all of these things that they should be doing, right? Andrew will say, outsource the typing, but not the thinking. I love that concept there as you go along. So anyways, maintain personal mastery. Never outsource core competency to AI. I can do everything. If electricity goes down, it'll take me longer, but I can do it. So I challenge you for that. Ask better questions. Now here's the concept here. Out of a room, let's say we got 100 people here. How many people are great at asking questions? How many people can have that sit down and for the next 20 minutes ask questions? Why do you think AI is going to be a better tool for you if you can't do it foundationally? So going down to the bottom line for this, okay, ask better questions. AI is just prompting. But if you don't start with good questions, if you don't get better on your questions, then what's the point of it? So I challenge you that. Balance long-term games. AI doesn't think about what's 6 months from now. It doesn't think about personal development. It doesn't think about relationships. It doesn't think about all the things that are potentially there, long-term challenge. It's thinking about, you just asked me a question. I'm going to give you the answer. You and I have to understand, fill in the blanks, understand the long-term consequences. Decide what should be done, not just what can be done. Just because it can be done, just because AI can do it, doesn't mean it should be done, right? And so those are the types of questions. We're running into a place. So I watched a movie a couple weeks ago. It's some of you may have seen it. It's called AI Doc. And the last part of it's something like apocalyptimist. Apocalypse means the first half of the movie was people coming on and saying the end of the world is happening. I would never raise kids. There's no way, shape, or form this will last for the next 4 or 5 years. We're in trouble. Second half was best time to ever raise a kid, best time to be alive, best time to, all went down that path. And the conclusion was correct. It's up to you and me to put the guardrails up. It's up to us to use critical thinking on what we're going to use it for, how we're going to use it, and have it as a tool, not a replacement as we think through this. So thinking about what should be done versus what could be done, those are two concepts I want you to consider as you think through all of this. And so discernment, the word discernment, knowing what's true, right, and relevant, evaluate accuracy. I tell people all the time, if you come to the boardroom, I don't ever want to hear, this is what I got from AI. I want you to eradicate that from your vocabulary. If you bring something to the table, it doesn't matter where it came from. You put your name on it by bringing it to the table. And I hear that. Well, AI gave me that. Well, no, that's not good enough. That's not acceptable. It's no different as pre-AI. You never said, well, I got it from a book in the library. It's just too easy to say, chat told me that. So I want you to think about personal responsibility. It can be wrong. It can be wrong. And by the way, one of the things that I heard from people early on, right, a year, 18 months ago, was I'm never going to use it because it can be wrong. I've got a friend, 88 years young. He's got a doctorate, 5 masters. Can he ever be wrong in his specific field? The answer is of course. So why would I hold AI to a different standard? Of course it can be wrong, especially, by the way, when I don't prompt well. Most of the times it's my fault. I did not give it parameters. I was not clear. I was not specific. And I let it hallucinate. The more open space you give AI, the more it will hallucinate, meaning it will give you wrong answers. The more defined you are, you give it a role, you give it a goal, you give it constraints, you give it those parameters, context, the more right you're going to get. That's just practice for all of you, for all of us, right? I continue to grow in that. So separate signal, there's so much out there. If you go on YouTube, you're going to see the thing that says we got 288 days left. I'm looking at this and what are you talking about? That was somebody saying we're so far into AI that this is going to, right? The future is so bleak. There's so much noise out there. And so you and I, as critical thinkers, as people who are responsible, right, as Christians, we know what we can change and what we can't. Change what you can. Go after making things happen in your own space. Stop looking so far outside of that space. So separate signal from noise. Recognize bias, data. We all have unconscious bias. Here's the trouble. It's called unconscious bias. Meaning what? You're not conscious about it. Every single one of you has blind spots. I have them. You have them. Have you identified that? Emotional intelligence is one of the biggest things that I'm recommending everybody, especially in the AI age. Self-awareness is part of emotional intelligence, self-knowledge, self-management, relationship management, right? Those kinds of things. Recognize biases. There's all kinds of biases out there. And the machine has biases too. Who's the programmer? Right? You see that all over. Challenge outputs. Never blindly accept recommendations. So take responsibility for us. We have to do that. We have to take responsibility. Never, ever, ever blame AI. And there's ways. There's people in here who are very smart on this. You can double check. You can get source data. You can do the work. You and I have to not be lazy about that. If I bring it to the table, forget that where it came from, I'm behind it. And it's because I source checked it, because I'll put one AI engine against another. They all come up with different, and then I critically think through it. And I ask those kind of questions moving forward. Evaluate accuracy, like we talked about, it's confidently wrong. It's just going back over here. Let's go. Stewardship. And you're accountable, AI is not. It's the same theme that I'm bringing to you. Set guardrails for ethical and effective use. I can tell you how many organizations don't have standards. And I want to encourage you. And guess what's happening? This person over here is using chat. This person is using Copilot. This person is using Claude. This person is using Gemini. Why would you have a company do that? Why wouldn't you set a standard? Why wouldn't you set a basis? Why wouldn't you strategically work through this? Every one of your organizations, including you personally, have to set your standards, set your bar up there. So I want you to consider that, right? Set guardrails for ethical and effective use. One of them for me is I don't allow, now I'm not talking about not out of my expertise. I will allow AI to say, how do you cook something I can't cook? I'm okay with that. But in my expertise as an educator, trainer, and coach, I own the space. And everything in that space I can do, right? So thinking about that, develop people, don't let AI replace thinking. Not typing, allow AI to type figuratively as well as actually, and we do the thinking. And then use AI to enhance leadership, not abdicate it. So one of my friends, well, it's not a friend, it's a company I work with. They has 6 direct reports. So the president, I told the president, here's what I want you to do, and it's been said already in here. You have, you're the president of the company. You have 6 direct reports. I want another chair in there, and that chair is AI. So when you make a decision, you go through, ask everybody's thoughts, opinions, concepts, and I also want you to ask chat. I want you to ask it for what it feels about things. And then you weigh all of that when you make a decision. So as one of you said earlier, it has a seat at the table. It's not the seat, but it has a seat. It's a participant. It's a support. It's a help. It's a way to look at it. Now, what does chat do that I don't do? It takes out emotion. How many of us make emotional decisions? How many make legacy decisions? Right? Some of you in IT remember this. Not many of you, but some of you. If it was Big Blue, it was a good decision. That's IBM. You couldn't make a wrong decision if you chose IBM. That's way back when, but early in technology. Why? Because of its legacy. Is it true today? No, you shouldn't make those kind of decisions. Is it the correct decision? Maybe, but let's work through it. Let's think through that. All right, and so just to put it together, I can tell you more personal experiences. I'm going to open it up for Q&A. I want some challenge. I want some food for thought there. So wisdom, right judgment in a fast world, it's happening very, very quickly. What most people don't understand is it's 24/7. So when I query chat today, tomorrow it'll give me a different answer. By the way, the term generative AI means it's going to generate new content. It's not a website. It doesn't reach in and find out what's the best picture of an eagle. It actually will generate that eagle right now. It's generative. Who's the best president we've ever had? It's going to regenerate information that's out there, make other decisions coming in, and it'll give you new content than it did yesterday. That's the beauty of it. That's the bad part of it. It is constantly learning. So one of the concepts I'm gonna, in fact, as I wrap up this on, I want you to be fundamentally strong. Students, I talked to about 70 people in high school, and they all ask me, should we do this? Should we go this direction? Should I heard that X-ray techs are going to be outdated and they're not going to be able to be used because AI can read an X-ray better than one of my friend's wives just finished. It took 8 years, by the way, past the bachelor's to get to this X-ray specialist she has as an MD, and she's asking the question, should I have done that? I just went in and now they're telling me that AI can read it better than me. Let me tell you what foundationally you and I need to do. We have to be strong in the basics because we can pivot when all of that happens. If you've got good emotional intelligence, you're a good critical thinker, you learn how you learn, unlearn, relearn, you're a great communicator, you understand the business, you understand your arena, you can pivot. If my boss says to me tomorrow, hey Al, there's 20% of your job that's going to go away because of AI, I'm going to say, oh, it's so great. I've been thinking about that. I love the fact that it can do this. Here's the 5 things I can do now. I'm so excited about this. Rather than doom and gloom and all of a sudden, Or I'm just going to go to another company. I'm going to take my skill set, my critical thinking, emotional intelligence, learning how to learn, unlearn, relearn, and I'm going to go to another company. You have to be able to pivot. AI is a real thing. It's happening as we speak. It's going to take jobs. It's going to take a position in there. And most of that we don't even know yet. If you look historically, before the Apple came out, uh, people didn't know about Mac. They didn't know about the iPhone. We didn't have those jobs. They were invented because of the technology that went forward. So you have to be able to pivot. You shouldn't be worrying now. Everybody, my recommendation to you, should have a training program. 2 hours a week, work on skills. You can look at it, you can take assessments. Where do I have a gap where I'm not as strong as my peers or I'm not as strong as I could be? Let's work on that. 2 hours a week, half hour at a lunch, half hour another lunch, hour on Saturday. Keep that skill set going. Everybody needs to know AI. I've hired 400 or 500 people in my time, right? I've built several companies, helped build several companies with everybody else's help. And I will not hire somebody today who doesn't understand AI, not at a chat level. Can you write a business plan? Can you critique the business plan? Can you come up with solutions? Can you adjust the solutions? Can you think through this? Can you explain it to me? Can you challenge us in the boardroom? Can you talk through this? That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for somebody who can type a query in there, but that's something you can do. You can do. You can start to utilize your skills, your foundational skills, to be prepared for what's coming. Because it is coming, right? We've seen this before. I was there when, 81 is when the PC was involved. You know how many people said to me, PCs, I'm never going to be involved in a PC. I'm not, this thing called PC, I'm not going to get involved. Internet, same thing. I heard all of this. iPhone, same thing. I'm never going to carry a phone. Are you kidding me? And what they did was they fought it until they couldn't fight it. General Motors, when I was there, I was in Detroit. Everybody, if you don't computerize, you will not work with General Motors. And all of a sudden, all these suppliers and vendors who said, I'm never going to computerize, had to change instantly or they could not do business with General Motors. There are going to be things that happen as we speak. When you use AI appropriately, you can drive your costs down. So what that means is if you're using AI and I can charge you 10% less, what's going to happen? Company A and B and C are going to have to move in that direction or they can't compete. That's the reality, right? This is not rocket science. If I'm doing 20% more work because I'm effectively using some of the tools Brian mentioned and I'm getting more in my day, am I not more valuable? Don't you want me on your team? Versus I need to take 20 hours to get something done because I'm not using any of the tools that we're talking about. You're going to hire Brian because it makes sense. And by the way, it's not about the big bad corporate entities, it's business. You have to look at it realistically. It's business. Those are things that are going to happen. Anyways, I'd love to answer a couple of 2, 3 questions, and hopefully I didn't come across too hard. My job, I'm a consultant, which means I fix problems, right? I go into companies, first I have to identify problems, and then I address those problems. And so that's just my personality style. So sometimes it's a little hard. You have to get used to me. But after that, you look at me as a teddy bear and you know I'm a cool guy. But address it. And by the way, every one of you has to do that. You have to have a consultant mindset. How do I take my job and improve it because I can use a tool called AI, even without other people? Because the problem is your boss doesn't know. Your boss's boss doesn't know. I talk to those people all the time. They're strapped. They don't understand it because they're not in technology. So they don't know how to apply it. So I'm saying to you, you do it. You take it up. You start your critical thinking engine going. You start to address it. You become a consultant like me. And basically what I do is I ask questions. I sit at a table and I say, tell me about it. What's happening? What's going on? If you were me, what questions would I ask you? What are some of the situations? I was interviewed once on a paper, and I love this question. It's something that I want to pass on to you. At the end of the interview, it was an hour, right? It was about the military, former military, and they had some problems down in San Diego, so they used me as an interview. And at the end of it, he asked me this brilliant question. He asked me, he said, all right, we're done with the interview. I have one more question. What's one question I should have asked you that I didn't? And for the next 20 minutes, I spoke because of that one concept. That's you, inquisitive mind, asking, leveraging, figuring it out. How can my job improve because I understand AI at a different level? What can I do to leverage it as we go along? All right, let me open up for a couple questions, comments, thoughts. Go ahead. So probably the most dangerous way is when nobody has guardrails. So they haven't decided how they're going to use it. They haven't decided. When that happens, every one of you is going to be using it in a different way. From a corporate perspective, if I'm the boss or I'm the executive team, should we be doing that? The answer is no, of course not. It's like saying everybody can use their computer in whatever way they want. It's silly. So if you look around, you're going to see, Andrew said it first. It can be used in as many bad ways as in good. You're going to see there's scams happening right now as we speak. There's all kinds of things happening. That will happen more. That will happen more. So strict guidelines from the organization, from you as a participant. All of us have to have individual responsibility. And then from a corporate perspective, we need to make decisions. The boss needs to make decisions with your help, because they should be asking you, what are 3 ways you can improve what you're doing using AI? And that would be extremely helpful. So there's many ways. There's many ways to deceive. There's all kinds of things happening there. And by the way, since you're a um, you know Christian college, I got to tell you, I got 2 friends who are totally against me being in AI. They're vehemently against me. One of them said to me, good friend of mine, Al, would you ever use a Ouija board? And I said, no, no. What do you mean? He said, well, you're using one every day. I use AI hours a day, not minutes, hours a day for my own environment, my own. I journal in it. I do all kinds of things. Anyways, he made me think. He made me think. Could it be used for bad? Of course. But it's a tool that you and I have to be stewards over. You're the boss. It's not. It's a tool. All right. Question back. Uh-huh. Yeah. So the biggest thing is standardization for me. You don't want everybody using it in different ways. So I get asked that question, what should we do? So I say to them, let me come into the company. I'll look over people's shoulders and I'll see. That's one way. So we need to use it strategically. It's a good, huge tool. It's a big tool strategically, which means that if you're the boss or you're the manager, we should be putting this on management. We should say to the manager, I want you to create a plan. 2 weeks from now, we're going to sit down and we're going to say how we use AI in your specific department. I want a plan on each and every role that you have. It doesn't have to execute today, tomorrow, next week, but in the next 30, 60, 90 days, we're going to execute. We're going to execute as a company. We're all on the same page. We're moving forward. And so to standardize is probably one of the biggest things. But management can help and support those efforts. And if a manager's good, which hopefully they are, they'll be asking their team, in what way would AI most benefit you? Put a plan together. Come see me in 1 week. Let's put it together. We'll move it up and we'll move it together. So everybody being unified on how we use AI, what we use AI for, what we don't use AI for, things like that need to be addressed, right? And every company will be different. You can think about that. Now, technology companies are way ahead of the curve. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Oracle laid off 30,000, and they're blaming AI, or they're saying it's AI. A few weeks before that, Microsoft laid off 30,000. There's about 180,000 because technology is in that space. They're already on top of the curve because they're investing it. They're investing trillions of dollars into the AI space. So when they laid off 30,000, they laid it off because they could use AI, but they also will take those dollars and reinvest it into AI. That AI train is moving forward very, very rapidly. No panic, just understand fundamentals. We have to be fundamentally strong, your communication skills and the rest.